Hey, welcome to Come As You Are Summit. And this is the importance of communication. And we are concerned about people that is involved in what they're doing in life. And we have a network. The bishop invited me to his network. He asked me if I had anything that I could help him with as far as communications and stuff. And what I did was put a team together. And after I put the team together, one thing led into another, and it came as Come As You Are, and we've been together for about 2 years now. And we are looking for people to tune in, to come as you are. Anything that you need, we could be a vehicle and do things for you, okay? I am the, I guess, the spearhead of this Come As You Are, and my team are very, very professional. And at this time, I would love to turn it over to Miss Yemanua. Hey, what's up over there?
Hey there, Jerry. This is Yemanua Napue with the New Life Worship Network featuring Bishop Vasil Pacheco and Come As You Are Communications Network. Helps somebody, and he also has the Power of Praise Gospel, where he brings musical groups and musical people from the gospel world onto the camera. Michael Colbert, he has Let's Talk. He talks about political issues and issues pertaining to not only our community, but to the nation and throughout the diaspora. Just Say It is Joe Debs, and he actually brings people on that are doing great things in our capital here, Sacramento, and nationwide. My show is called Show Them the World. I'm Yemanua Napue, and Show Them the World is a cultural, family-orientated, and artistic community show. December 5th, 2015, we will be having the Soul Legacy concert coming up at the Colonial Theater. For information, you can contact Jerry Rogers at 916-670-8208. Get dressed and come hear the musicians get down. We actually have some featured singers. We will be hearing our Aretha Franklin, and we'll be hearing our Marvin Gaye, and we're going to have people that are coming, and they are going to be doing musical interludes from different artists. February the 13th is our second year anniversary with Come As You Are Communication Network. Please come out to our February 13th Come As You Are International Dinner that we'll be giving. We're going to have a sit-down dinner with entertainment. Hey, if you stay tuned, you'll know when it comes. You know, that's Black History Month. But since we are a network that's building Black wealth, we want to make sure that all of you hear us, come as you are. I'd like to introduce you to Michael Colbert.
Welcome, and thank you, Yemanua. And Jerry, thank you for the introduction. I'd like to introduce my guest tonight. I have Ms. Toni Colley Perry as my guest, and we're going to discuss tonight the need for a communications network among African Americans in this country and throughout the world. Is it really needed? Do we need one? What would its purpose be if we had that? And also, what would be some of the successes, or what would be some of the benefits? So Toni, first of all, before we get into our discussion, I'd like to give the audience out there just a mustard seed of information about Come As You Are and what we're attempting to do. We realize and recognize that the internet is now is the way of the future to be able to get one's message across. And what we also in our discussions realize is that we have a number of communication networks that are on the air, both radio and television, that carry the message for the majority population. And so we have to then integrate in it in order to get our message through. which is not working for us. It seems like when we look at the statistics and what's going on in this country, we're always high on the wrong side and low on the right side. And we're trying to reverse that, especially as it comes to creating wealth in our community. Wealth means jobs. Wealth means production and a positive community that one can be proud of being a part of and being involved in the work. So that's what we're trying to create here as Come As You Are. So my first question to you, because I'd like to know whether or not we're on the right road, whether or not this is what is something is needed. So I know that you're an activist in the community, that you've got aspirations of being involved in the politics right now. I understand that you're an assistant professor in the community college system here in Sacramento. So I'd like to start the discussion with you with asking the first question, and we don't have to go by each question, but just something to get us started, to get the conversation started, because that's how I'd like for this to be between you and I, a conversation about communications and the need for communications in our community. How about
Well,
that?
thank you. I really appreciate having the opportunity to be here today. When I think about communication, especially since I ran for city council and the opportunity that I had in running for school board, there really isn't a communication link within our community. So it's just important for us to really think about how we would approach getting the word out within our churches, linking our community school, students and elderly. They all play a role. How do we communicate with them when the elderly are not on the community? They're not on the computer. They're not actively engaged in with the media. They watch the news, but how do we talk to the elderly? How do we talk to the young people? Because any campaign, anytime you're working with people, it starts with the elderly and the youth, because the people who are working tend to not be connected.
Well, what we've understood in our study of the internet and the web and the World Wide Web is that although people are coming along, we're finding now with the new technology now that you can actually, through Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, hook your computer directly to your smart TV and see what's ever on the net. You can see it on your TV now. So the net is now becoming television.
No,
and so we're beginning that technology is there. So what we are saying here is Come As You Are, it's time for us now to begin to take advantage of that technology. And if what we have to do is have tutorial sessions in our programming to get more people involved and listening and participating, because one thing about what we understand about the internet is that it is an interactive communications, because just as you and I are talking right now, there is capability in the net that we can have a chat going on right now, and if someone any place in the world can be watching us, ask a question on Twitter, or put a tweet out, ask a question on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and we are able to respond to them like right now. So that's what we are looking at as far as this network is concerned. As Yemanua was saying, we have 6 programs, but those programs so far are talk shows. But our genre that we are trying to create is we want to have talk, or as we call it, intellectual stimulation. We're looking at having urban contemporary, which includes music, spoken word, poetry, or it could be the local Pop Warner team, because I know you and I had a discussion the other day, and share that with the audience. And when you were speaking of how important it is to get the youth and the parent, some of the programming that you think that could happen with that.
Well, I know that right now I've just finished a class, and it's called African Heritage Cooking class. And the dialogue that has happened in that class has been over the top amazing, because the cultures come together, talk about our history, our food, and the young people have been attending also. So they have questions about, candied yams, yams that they came from Africa. black eyed peas and learning how to do various things, how to cook things. So I think that there's such a rich dialogue to talk about our heritage and connecting young people with that message that we matter, and that the food we eat and how healthy we are and how we participate in life, in gardening and things like that, that's something that's new and fresh. And they really want to be a part of that dialogue, and so do the seniors.
Well, you see, that's the importance of what we're talking about here at Come As You Are, because our expansion is that we would like to be able to go, like we know that there is a art gallery here in Sacramento on 34th and 36th and Stockton and Broadway. We would like to be able to use that backdrop as a studio, bring our cameras in, and for 1 hour be part of the community culture genre, and film that and ship and have that exposed throughout the country. One of our ambitions at Here Has Come As You Are is to have other affiliates, what we call national affiliates, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Washington, D.C., and offer them 6 hours of programming or a few hours of programming per day, and they are able to share what's going on in their community on our network. That way we're beginning to be able to have this dialogue and being able to talk to one another, because what we understand is we don't know everything in Sacramento, but we do have a little bit to offer.
Yeah.
Yay. That's what we call Yemanua. I call her Sister Yay. How do you see a network such as this benefiting the women in our community, the women and the families in our communities? Do you see any types of programming that can be generated through here that would help strengthen the family, or at least give some help to the family?
Well, I know that with our network, we can expose them and teach and re-educate the interests in the originality of the woman and what her role is and was in the world today. Her role with not only the family. We were the original gardeners. We were the original farmers. You know, the men were sent out to hunt. We were supposed to be there to make sure that there was food for us to augment what was there. And the whole idea of the production of the original farmers markets. The original farmers markets were made by women. The marketplace was all about what the women could bring to the marketplace, what they could make at home, what they could teach the children to make, to be able to trade and sell with. You know, we in ourselves were original commodity, not just the fact that we can give birth, but to be able to have international intellectual information to pass on to the children. We're the original teachers. So without us teaching and being able to have a venue to actually put our intellectual work out, it stifles our whole ability to continue to educate the family.
So let me ask, I put this question out to both of you. Are you aware of any national vehicle where some of the things that we're just talking about exist here in this country?
I'm not aware of any. I think it's needed. Are you aware of anything?
I thought about Bay Area, the way KPFA was, and certain people there, but it's not quote unquote for specifically African Americans.
Well, I understand that there are a number of radio stations owned by African Americans throughout the country.
True.
There's just no doubt about that. Many of them feature a musical format.
Oh, that's true.
But radio is local. It's not national. So you have local people talking to local people.
Right.
What we here as Come As You Are is trying to create is a national stage, so that we here in Sacramento can talk to people in New York City, because there might be something that's working down in Harlem that might work in Oak Park.
Right.
You know, as far as an educational program, you yourself, you have the gardening. You know, the best kept secret in Sacramento is that Sister Michelle, who did her harvesting today, got her model for an urban garden from you.
Mm. Yeah.
So who best to teach urban gardening?
But not only that, just the whole idea that when things happen in our families, as far as mental health things with our children, and even physical things like, deafness or intellectual, disparities, or even physical disparities. We always talk about, obesity, but we forget about the mental health of the children, not only the obese children, but the children that are going to regular schools and having to interact with someone other than themselves in order for them to get the education that they need. And also the whole idea about the incarceration of our not only our males, but our females. We forget about the fact that women are being incarcerated, girls are being incarcerated at alarming numbers. But because our focus is on how our men are being brutalized, we forget about the fact that our women are not only being brutalized, by the system, by taking their children, and then they end up incarcerated, and there's no counseling for our families, etc. When we get to talking about these type of issues, we forget that these are women's issues also, because when a man comes back from being incarcerated and he's dropped back into the family with no counseling, and there was no counseling for the families, then we're dealing with a whole nother dynamics in the community, period.
Well, it seems to me that there's discussion that needs to take place on a number of areas, a number of topics that can take place, and then something can be done about it. I was listening this morning to one of the presidential candidates running, Mr. Carson. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that, he made the statement the other day that, had he been in Oregon where this last mass murder took place, that he would have been like he would have done the similar thing that the young man that got shot 5 or 6 times trying to save the other people. He said, well, hey, look, we don't need more gun control. What we need are brave citizens who are going to say, hey, look, we're not going to stand for this stuff anymore. But my thing is this, is that we don't talk about the homicides and the genocide that is taking place in our own communities, because we're not speaking to these young men. You and I were, Toni, and we're having a conversation today about your son and some of the things that you have to go through with your son. But you are a single parent. You, are a single parent. And it would seem to me that this type of dialogue needs to take place throughout America, because you are not alone. What do you say about things of this sort?
Well, I think that the way that I've been working in the community is focusing on myself, my family, and the community. It always has to start with you. And I think when you start with yourself, you have a clear way of implementing programs that allow the programs to stay in our own community. Generally, if you get hired for an agency and they have a purpose, let's say diabetes, that's their focus. And we help contribute to the funding when they got the grant, but we're not the people who actually work with our community and focus with our community. Another approach to think about it is, if you focus on yourself, then my clientele would be my own family, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
It would be my family, my extended family. Well, that keeps this job in our community. Any other way, it doesn't stay in our community.
Absolutely.
So when we think about how we're going to approach building a capacity and sustainability, the focus has to start with the individual that you hire. When you hire them, you have to say, okay, great. Now go back and work with your direct family and extend out that way. And that keeps the jobs in our own community.
Well, that's one of the things that we are using as part of our growth with Come As You Are. Because what we are aspiring to be is a membership association. Everybody who becomes a member has a stake in the development of Come As You Are. We have 11 different opportunities to become a member and become involved in what's going on as Come As You Are, because what we know is that the four of us can't do this by ourselves. We need everyone to be involved. From we want hosts, we want sponsors to host shows. We want to be able to train those who want to be involved in this internet communications to be hosts, to be able to either host a musical show. For instance, I have a close associate of mine. His son is a DJ in the Washington, D.C. area. Not a DJ on the radio. He does the parties. I'm saying, well, why don't we send a camera or a couple of camera crews with him and have that as a show? Jerry Rogers is developing what we call the local beat. Every city in the country has its own beat. We want to expose that. We want to, the BMI, the ASCAP, that old guard that has been controlling music for years and years. Well, we want to be an alternative. We know that YouTube is an alternative, but it's not a network. We want a network that is focusing on generating knowledge, helping us change our thoughts, change the way we do things, and which means our behavior, but also to be able to generate some wealth. One of the things that we want to do, and I would like to throw this back off to you two, is that one of the things we want to do with Come As You Are is on our website itself is have a community market. Because to be a part, one of the opportunities is to be an advertiser on our network. But what you advertise, now we provide you a marketplace to sell your whatever items you have. Because I can remember from many and many Christmases, folks say, well, I'd love to buy black. I would love it. Where can I go to buy black? Now we have a website dedicated to black products. I see that as a way of generating wealth and creating jobs. Can I get some response from you ladies on that?
Well, no, it's important to the activities that I do monthly. I have a meetup and I have a breakfast. And the meetup, for the past 3 years, we've encouraged entrepreneurs to come and have a table. It's only $12. Come set up your table. But they do need a place where they can take their work and put it out there and market it in a different way. And I really would be happy to kind of let you know some of those people that have come over the past 3 years, because they don't have a big enough market to share their, we've had people that had clothing, jewelry, purses, and some people, I think the Black Cultural Club, Betty, I've forgotten her name, but she actually has come many times instead of Culture Collective. She's come many times, but she had the first African-American store in Florin Mall before it closed down.
Right, I remember that.
She's at a point now where she doesn't have a store, so that would be a great opportunity for her to show her stuff.
Well, I see this as a way of turning a vendor into a mail order business overnight. Because now who can buy your customer. Your customer now is a person who says, okay, I like this item, hit PayPal, send it in, and there you've got it. We don't need the brick and mortar as much now as we need a garage to be able to stuff the box to be able to ship off with UPS, FedEx, or however else we want to get it off. But we get from behind that vendor table at local affairs, and now we become actually entrepreneurs and actual merchants who are putting out products. Hopefully that could create something where we'd be able to produce something and we're selling our own things and not stuff from China and Japan and Korea and those kind of things, maybe we are able to establish an arm, because I notice you ladies today have on some beautiful African garb.
Oh, thank you.
Why not establish that trade? This is the net. This is not local radio. This is the net. This is where we can establish trade with the Caribbean, or the Caribbean and the other black nations in the Caribbean and over in Africa. This is how I see. This is my dream for Come As You Are. And what I know is that in order to do that, we need help. And so I'd like to close my portion of the program, because we're going to turn it over to Mr. Gwynn, with a request. Those of you who are viewing this, I'd like for you to see in your own mind black folks in America beginning to talk to one another, not only in America but throughout the world, because we've got enclaves throughout North America, Europe,
The diaspora.
and yes. See in your own mind a vessel where we're talking to one another, where we're sharing ideas with one another, where we're sharing products with one another. And if you see that Come As You Are can be that vessel for you, then we'd like for you to contact us at comeasyouare@gmail.com. Drop us a line. Let us know that this is something that you would like to see happen, and we'll make a way to get in contact with you and get your help.